Welcome. This is Love and Relationship Clinic, where everything and anything about sex and love is discussed. We are here to promote healthy relationships and emotional safety. I'm your host, TB Caleb. This talk show is powered by Beck Vision Studio. Welcome to the clinic. All right, this is Love and Relationship Clinic. I'm your host, TB Caleb. You're welcome again to the clinic. This talk show is powered by Beck Vision Studios. You're welcome to the clinic. I'm your clinic doctor. Yeah, on this edition, we have a guest, we have a patient in the clinic. She has come to the clinic to get answers to some questions pertaining to love and relationship. Our guest is Precious Obert from Nigeria. So tonight we'll be dealing with um,
Hi, good
questions
evening.
pertaining to love, how to express love, and similar things like that. So Precious will be asking all the questions, and the clinic doctor will be answering them. So for every other person listening to us, you can always reach out to the clinic, come to the clinic, send us comments, send us email, and ask us questions or ask to be featured like this so that you can come to the clinic and ask your questions so that everybody can hear you and then hear the answers to your questions. Whatever issue you may have, whatever is troubling you concerning love, sex, and relationship, the clinic doctor can provide solutions. There are answers to questions. So we'll take a break now, and when we return, Precious from Nigeria will be asking her questions. Let's take a breather. Welcome. This is Love and Relationship Clinic, where everything and anything about sex and love is discussed. We are here to promote healthy relationships and emotional safety. I'm your host, TB Caleb. This talk show is powered by Beck Vision Studio. Welcome to the clinic. Yeah, all right. You're welcome back. Precious, we can then take your questions. We can now take your questions one after the other.
Okay, good evening, host. Good evening. My name is our precious Obot, and my question is, how do you express love? Thank you.
All right. How do you express love? Okay, good. So you love someone and you want to make them know that you love them. That is the question you're asking, how to express love towards someone. Okay, good. We'll be looking at that by exploring ways to express love, whether towards your lover, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your friend, anyone, how to express love. Okay, good. Thank you, Precious. So the most basic way that people express love is to be kind towards the person they love, is to say it verbally, as in I love you. You see those three magical words, I love you, you know, works it for a lot of people. But tonight we're telling you that it's not enough to just use those magical words. In order to express love towards someone, you have to go beyond saying, I'm in love with you, you are safe with me, I love you to the moon and back, or maybe you buy them surprises like some bouquet of flowers, or you make a heart shape cookie for them, or pancake. You know, all of these are ways you can express love towards somebody. You can tell them they make your heart skip a beat. You can write them a love letter. You you can tell them you've bewitched me body and soul, that kind of thing you find in Pride and Prejudice. You can tell them you are the love of my life. You are my dream come true. My heart is forever yours. I want to spend my life with you forever and all of that. You could even give them the key to your home Maybe you're a bachelor or you are a single lady. You could tell them, "Oh, have the key to my house so that you can come in anytime, whether I'm home or not." You know, that is a way you're expressing love. That's some way of expressing love, that you're telling this person, "Oh, I love you. I love you, and I feel safe with you." You know, you can you can tell them that you never believed in love before, but now that you're connected with them, they make you believe in love. You can tell them you feel so connected to them. You can, you know, say, "No one makes me happy like you," or "No one makes me feel the way you do." You know, you can say how lucky I am to exist at the same time as you. You can say so many things. You can tell them, "I'm yours." You can tell them, "Oh, you give me hope. You're the best thing that has ever happened to me." I often tell my lady this, that she is the best thing that has ever happened to me as an adult. No, you can tell them, "Oh, you feel at home. You're cool with me, and I'm cool with you." You can tell them that being with them makes you feel like you are home already. You know, that kind of thing. And then you could tell them that you never knew life could be this beautiful until you met them. You know, you could say a lot of things, but I'm telling you tonight that all of these things may not fully express love towards someone. In order for you to fully express love adequately, to adequately express love towards someone, you need to know and learn about love languages. Dr. Gary Chapman popularized 5 major love languages. And, there are 5 major love languages. And all of these love languages are understood by people differently. For example, my love language or languages may be different from yours, precious. So you need to know the particular person you're expressing love towards. You need to know and learn about their specific, their primary love language or languages. By the time you know what their love language, their primary love language or languages are, then you can begin to speak that language, and the emotional tank will be full all the time. And they'll be happy that you are in their life. They'll be happy that they are connected with you. They'll be happy because you are in their life, and they will feel loved the most. So, um, there is what we call words of affirmation, which is one type of love language. We have quality time, it's another love language. We have acts of service, it's a love language. We have receiving of gifts, and I usually call that receiving and giving of gifts, because I found out that most people who give gifts also like to receive, or most people who receive gifts to give gifts. So receiving of gifts, giving of gifts, it's a love language. And then there is this important one, people will say very important to men especially, physical touch. Physical touch. So now, if a particular person's love language is words of affirmation, once you know this is their primary love language, what you need to do in order to express love towards this person is to ensure to speak this love language to them always. For example, encouraging them, affirming them, telling them that they look good, telling them, appreciating them for what they have done, congratulating them, and celebrating their victories and achievements. You know, all of these are words of affirmation. Like you say, "Oh, I love your hairstyle. Wow, this dress looks good on you. Wow, what a wonderful tie. Yes, that red tie matches your shirt. You look so good. You're so charming. That dress looks good on you. You know, wow, that was a wonderful performance." When you tell someone whose love language is words of affirmation, especially the primary love language, the person will feel greatly loved. What a nice write up. Wow, that was excellent. You did so very well. Oh, I like your presentation. Wow, that was great. When you tell people all of these things, if their love language, their primary love language is words of affirmation, they will feel greatly loved. In fact, they will feel so much loved than somebody who has gifted them a car for their birthday. If words of affirmation is their primary love language, that's how important love language is. So, assuming that receiving of gift was not one of the primary love language, they would actually feel loved when you speak their primary love language, which is words of affirmation, than when somebody gives them gifts. It doesn't matter how big the gift is. So, for someone whose love language, primary love language, is quality time, so this kind of a person would feel loved the more when you spend time with them, either physically, watching movies together, going to the cinemas, going to the mall, going for shopping, walking down the street together, all of those things you do together, spending time together, or on phone, audio or video chat, whatever you're doing together, as long as you're giving them your time, that is the only time they feel loved. That is the only time they feel loved. And as much as you do this thing, the emotional tank is filled up and they will be happy. They will feel greatly loved. They will like to have you around all the time. They will know for certainty that you love them. For some people, their primary love language is act of service. Act of service. They enjoy it more. They feel loved more when you do something for them. No matter how little that is. Maybe you help them clean the dishes. Maybe you help them out in the garden. Maybe you help them fix some electrical whatever thing in the house. Help them fix the bulb, you know, something like that. Or maybe they're even dressing up for work and they're your partner, and then you help them just do certain thing, maybe clean their shoes, so as to help them get ready quicker. All of these things will culminate in love for them. For them, they feel greatly loved because you've done this for them, and that is because act of service is their primary language or one of their primary love languages. If act of service is their primary love language, whatever act of service you render to them, they feel loved. They feel loved. You know, they're looking for something and then you join them in looking for it. That's an act of service. They feel loved. You help them wear the necklace while they're doing something else. They feel loved as long as they're getting dressed up and you assist them to do that. You help them out in the kitchen. For example, the person is your wife, and in some society where it's basically the job of the woman at home to do things in the kitchen, the domestic chores, and you help them out. They will feel loved. They will feel greatly loved if their primary love language is act of service. Sometimes you may not even be around the house, you may not be close to them, and you just send somebody over to come and fix the tap for them or come and fix something in the kitchen for them, and then you tell them, oh, I'll send somebody over, I'll send the plumber over to come fix that thing in the bathroom or in the toilet, and then that's an act of service. So for them, that shows you care. For them, that makes them feel greatly loved because act of service is their primary love language or one of their primary love languages. For some people, their primary love language is receiving and giving of gifts. In fact, for these people, when they give you gifts and you receive the gifts with joy, they feel loved. When you give them gifts, they feel loved. They like receiving gifts. So when you know that this person has receiving of gifts as a primary love language, then you ensure to give them gifts all the time. Ensure to give them gifts all the time. It doesn't matter how small the gift is, be creative about giving them gifts. Surprise them with gifts. They will feel greatly loved. That is one of the ways to express love towards someone when you know what their primary love language is. Then there is the physical touch. Physical touch. Some people, um, their love language, their primary love language is physical touch. You know, they like to, the person who loves them to touch them. You may not necessarily have sex, but touching, cuddling together, snuggle close to them, hold hands together. Kissing is part of physical touch. Stroking somebody's hair is part of physical touch. Rubbing your fingers over their lips is part of physical touch. Whatever you do that involves touching physically, that physical intimacy for them is the greatest expression of love. So if somebody's primary love language is physical touch and you are not present, you are not available to touch them, they will not feel loved. But when you are available to touch them, not necessarily having sex, they will feel greatly loved. If that is their primary love language, that is when they will feel the most loved because you stroke their hair, because you kiss their lips, because you rub your finger over their lips, because you snuggle close to them, because you cuddle together, because you hold hands, because you hug them. All of these physical touch experiences will make their emotional tank to be full to the brim. They will be happy. So these are the ways you can express love towards someone. You need to know about love languages, and then you need to learn their particular primary love languages. When you know the love languages, the primary love languages of a person, it is now easier for you to speak those languages and they will feel loved. Is your question answered properly? Do you understand what has been said? Is it clear to you? Do you have any more questions?
Okay, thank you very much. My next question is what are possible deal breakers in a relationship? Possible deal breakers in a relationship. Thank you.
Yeah, Precious. Thank you for um, the second question about deal breakers. You're asking what are some possible deal breakers in a relationship. All right, you see, the thing about deal breakers is that they are mainly subjective. What's a deal breaker for one person may not be a deal breaker for another person. So it depends on you, what you and your partner agree to be deal breaker, or what you personally think that it's a deal breaker for you in a relationship. For example, some people would say if he or she snores, um, it's a deal breaker. They cannot be in a relationship with someone like that, or even if they're in a relationship with someone like that, they would not proceed to marrying them. You know, some people could be some mannerism, like the way they talk. Some people it could be maybe their eating habit, or maybe they drink alcohol, or they smoke cigarette. People have different kinds of um, things that they can categorize as deal breakers. For some people, it's you relating too closely with the opposite gender, members of the opposite gender. For some people, that's a deal breaker. I've had a lot of men say they don't want their girlfriends, their wives to have any male friends, you know, any man as a friend, especially what they call bestie, because of some experiences they've had, of people who eventually became sexual partners with their so-called besties. So that's some kind of deal breaker. For some people, the deal breaker could be the body shape. Some people could say, oh, if she's too thin, that's a deal breaker. I can't date a lady who is too thin. Some people will say if she's too big, or if he is too big. I've had some ladies who say they can't date a guy who has pot belly, who has a big belly. All of these things, they are individual based because what you don't like, another person may like, or they may not even mind, you know. So deal breakers are basically subjective, but then as a person, why you have deal breakers, like you said, boundaries, is that okay, this line cannot be crossed. Okay, so if this person does this and that, or is like this and this, I cannot deal. You're trying to look for features in a person, certain characteristics about that person that will promote health in the relationship and emotional safety in your relationship. That is why you're saying this is a deal breaker or this is not a deal breaker. It means something about your potential partner that may encourage you not to that may discourage you from going into a relationship with them, you know. So that is the thing that is called deal breakers. So there are a lot of deal breakers, a lot of things. Some people will say, oh, if she talks too much, or if he talks too much, or if he talks like a lady, it's a deal breaker. Some people will say, oh, if he's not sexually active, it's a deal breaker. There are so many things you could call deal breakers, but what matters is um, your self knowledge. So much that you know about yourself will help you determine what would be or would not be a deal breaker for you in a relationship. Personally, I do not fancy any connection or relationship with my exes. So I expect the same from my lady. So if I have a lady, I expect that our old relationship is gone and gone for good. So there's no point she having any communication or connection with her exes. So if she's doing that, it will actually uh, affect the emotional safety of the relationship. It doesn't matter how much I trust her. So that's a deal breaker for me because it will affect the relationship. So all of these things you should be able to discuss with your partner what deal breakers are for you. It's like you set certain boundaries, or this line should not be crossed. Um, for me, if this is done, there's no going back. Some people will be like, oh, for me, if I find her cheating, I would call off the relationship. It's a deal breaker. We can have a deal as long as she cheats. You know, things like that. Some people would even say, "Oh, if she's a feminist, or if he is um, a misogynist in some way, I think it's a deal breaker. I can't deal with a man who treats other women badly, and claims to love me. I'm a woman as well, so he has to love not just me, but he has to love womanhood. All of these things you could have as deal breakers, depending on what works for you." The list of deal breakers is endless. It's endless. So many things that people call deal breakers. In fact, some people would say, I cannot marry a lady from this particular part of the world. I cannot marry a guy from this particular part of Europe. I cannot marry a woman from this particular part of Africa. Or maybe, you come to some countries, I cannot marry a lady from this part of Ghana. I cannot marry a guy from this part of Cameroon. I cannot marry someone from this part of Nigeria. All of these are deal breakers for them that no, it doesn't work. As long as this person hails, originates from this part of the world, I cannot have anything to do with them. I don't want to have anything to do with them for whatever reason. It is subjective. But one thing you should remember is that we are all human beings, and the best that we can be is to be human. So you should take notice where your idea of deal breakers are coming from. The things you call deal breakers, are they truly deal breakers? Where are they coming from? Are they coming from one time experience of your own self or from another person's experience, and you think, oh, because this person experienced this with this person, so if I'm with this same kind of person, I'm going to experience the same. It may not be so. For example, the deep breaker of where somebody belongs, where they originates from, their hometown or their city or whatever, you know, for some people they will be like, oh, every girl from um they could just name any city in Nigeria or in some parts of Africa and say any lady from that place has a tendency to cheat. Just because you've had one or two cases of that doesn't mean that every lady from that city will actually do the same. So, some people will say, oh, men from this part, oh, they're womanizers, they're this, that. No, it doesn't mean every man from that particular part of the country, of the world, will be a womanizer. So you need to know where your so-called deal breakers are coming from, the idea of deal breakers, where is it coming from? Why do you consider certain things deal breakers? Some people it's height, or if a guy is shorter than 5 feet, it's a deal breaker. If a lady is taller than 6 plus, if a lady is taller than 6 or 7 feet, it's a deal breaker. People have different kind of things they call deal breakers. Some people it's a voice. If her voice is like that of a man because she has so much male hormone, the testosterone, it's a deal breaker. I don't want a woman like that. You know, People have different things they call deal breakers. But I think that what matters is that whether both of you have decided to begin the journey of love together, to learn and grow together, to become better for the benefit of your relationship. Some things can be fixed, some things cannot be fixed. So you need to determine what you call deal breakers. For example, somebody's height. There's almost nothing they can do about that, except for some ladies, they will wear certain shoes that will add inches to their height, make them feel taller than they really are. Aside from that, there's almost nothing you can do about that. Yeah, if somebody snores, there's almost nothing you can do about that, but at least you could have some remedy. There are equipments that people who snore could use that will make them breathe better. And so, there's no point making somebody feel less of a human being because of certain natural traits that they have. Yes, there is room for improvement. Yes, somebody could improve. Maybe the way they talk, the way they react to issues, the way they think. People could, their attitude could be improved upon, a lot of things. So, but it is important that you let your potential partners know what your deal breakers are. So, there are a lot of deal breakers, what people could call deal breakers in a relationship. But the most important thing is that whatever it is subjective. It is not something objectively universal, like saying, oh, for everybody, a slim lady is no go area. For everybody, a girl who is big in terms of size is no go area. No. In fact, some people want a very big girl as a wife. Some people want a very slim, tiny girl as a wife. It depends. So, precious, there are a lot of deal breakers, but the idea of deal breakers is subjective, which means what works for you may not work for another person. What you consider a deal breaker may not be a deal breaker for another person in a relationship. So that's about it, Precious. I hope your questions have been adequately answered and you're satisfied. So,
Okay, thank you so much, host. Satisfied with the answer you've given, and seriously, I've learned a lot from this. I don't think I'll ever forget. any of those words you said tonight. Thank you so very much. I'm satisfied with it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Please keep this up. Thank you.
For everyone listening to us, you can also come to the clinic. The clinic is available for you 24/7. Come to the clinic with your troubles. Come to the clinic with your questions, and your questions will be answered. As far as they pertain to love, sex, and relationship, the clinic doctor is here to attend to you, to offer treatments, to provide answers to your many questions. Thank you for joining us tonight. And next time, we'll be dealing with another important love and relationship issue. Please ensure to join us. Thank you. This is Love and Relationship Clinic, and I'm your host, TB Keller. This talk show is powered by Beck Vision Studios. You're welcome to the clinic. Thank you all. Welcome. This is Love and Relationship Clinic, where everything and anything about sex and love is discussed. We are here to promote healthy relationships and emotional safety. I'm your host, TB Keller. This talk show is powered by Beck Vision Studio. Welcome to the clinic.